Well, hello and welcome to ILoveGay today. And we have a special uh, interview and session here today. And we are here with Admiral Rachel Levine from the Department of Health and Human Services. How are you?
Well, I'm very well, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thanks. It's amazing to have you here. I will say that I have an advantage because I moved to Pennsylvania 2 years ago, and so I got to see you at the very beginning of when COVID kind of kicked in, and you were right there taking center stage in terms of really helping inform and keep Pennsylvania moving forward.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, it was very rewarding but challenging being the Secretary of Health of Pennsylvania and working in Governor Wolf's administration. But, I think that we did a very good job in terms of trying to bend the curve and stop the spread at that time in Pennsylvania. And now I have the honor of being the Assistant Secretary for Health and an Admiral in the Public Health Service Commission Corps.
Yeah, and you have a few firsts that are fantastic for our community. You're your first openly transgender person to win confirmation in the U.S. Senate, and I believe you're also first openly transgender four-star officer.
That is correct. And again, it's a tremendous honor, but also a large responsibility, both in terms of the public health responsibilities I have as the Assistant Secretary for Health, in the responsibilities I have to lead 6,000 very dedicated and hardworking Commission Corps officers for the Public Health Service, but then also the responsibility I feel for our LGBTQI plus community to advocate for our community, but then also to work on policy in regards to health equity.
Yeah, no, and I have some notes and points. We can talk more about that in a little bit. I was going to say just in general, it's January 2022. On the official side, are there any kind of current state of COVID updates you'd like to give us?
Well, COVID-19 continues to be an enormous challenge for us in medicine and public health in the United States and globally. COVID-19 is not letting up with the new Omicron surge, and so we can't let up either. But we do have much more hope than we had when things started off approximately two years ago in 2020. We do have the power to protect ourselves using all of the tools in our public health toolbox, and that includes testing, that includes wearing a mask, and staying socially distant. And most importantly, it includes getting vaccinated and boosted according to the CDC guidelines.
Yep. No, I think most of us are aware of that, but it's always great to reinforce because it seems but that's a whole other topic. But no, in the LGBT world, even in Pennsylvania here, are you still on the board of Equality Pennsylvania?
I am not. I actually left the board of Equality Pennsylvania when I became the Physician General of Pennsylvania way back in 2015. Okay. As you enter public service in state and the federal government, you have to resign from those type of organizations, and because of those potential conflict of interest.
Yeah, which makes sense. And but just in general, that's also I would say being a part of that organization, and then also you're quite a role model, and I say that because it's really interesting. Whenever you seem to experience any transphobia in any way, shape, or form, you always seem to be able to not just take the high road, but be able to kind of turn that conversation into something more productive.
Well, that's what I try to do. I really try to sublimate that energy and to take those potentially negative comments and to turn that into advocacy for our LGBTQI plus community, and then hand in hand working on policy at first in Pennsylvania and now federally.
Yeah, but it's interesting because even in that train of thought with HRC, they put out a report not that long ago, just kind of talking about how COVID has impacted the LGBT community, maybe a little more uniquely. But one area that I know had come up in some of your conversations, it's all tied in with LGBTQ youth, and you seem to be very like that's a strong focus and interest for you. Is just putting a little bit more limelight and attention on what's happening with them. But during COVID, I understand that, one of the things that's impacted them is having to go back home and maybe dealing with a homophobic family atmosphere.
So you are correct. COVID-19 has had disparate impacts on specific vulnerable communities. That includes communities of color, the African American community, the Latinx community, the American Indian Native Alaskan community, but also on our LGBTQI plus community. And that's why health equity is so important. I had the honor of serving on the COVID-19 Health Equity Task Force, which issued its report to the president in November. And so we need to support those particularly disadvantaged communities during the stresses of COVID-19. I really feel that our LGBTQI plus community has made progress. We certainly are making progress in the Biden-Harris administration. We have a president that sees us now and advocates for us in all aspects, and we are doing that across the administration. But we have to make progress for everyone, and that includes LGBTQI plus youth, seniors, immigrants, and particularly LGBTQI plus individuals of color, such as trans individuals of color who are at risk not only of bullying or harassment, but they're at risk of violence and murder. So we have to strongly advocate for the most vulnerable within our rainbow family.
Yeah, no, well said. In that train of thought is that concept of LGBTQ data collection when it comes to COVID patients. Is that all kind of part of that as well?
That is. And so I am very pleased to be the co-chair of the Secretary's Health Disparities Council here at HHS. Secretary Becerra is such a strong advocate for health equity and eliminating health disparities. And a subcommittee of that council is actually a specifically LGBTQI plus subcommittee. And we are working on data collection. And that's being done across the administration. But for us at HHS, data collection in regards to health. Without that data, communities become invisible as we think about different ways and different programs and funding. So that data is really, really important. And we're working on including SOGI data, sexual orientation, gender identity data, throughout our data collection at HHS.
Yeah. Oh, I think I love what you have to say, and I think we're very fortunate to have you in this role. So it's just amazing, and like I said, I'm really glad that you were able to take some of your time and just kind of share a bit of not only what you're up to, but also a little of your story with our audience here.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your very kind comments, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, thank you, and I look forward to reconnecting soon.
Take care now. Bye.